everyone, this is Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you another thing with hashtag AJOS Journey. This is our month-long, all April challenge where we have some everybody in the group, Art Joy of Sharing, over on Facebook. Well, not everybody, but some people have shared some backgrounds and they've put them in a folder called Painty Paper, and then you can download and print those pieces of paper and use them in your own art. And what I was talking about today, this was filmed during the Art Joy of Sharing live stream program, and this is a speeded up version on my channel, but you can go watch it in real time recorded. I'll put the link below the video if you wanted to watch it in real time. But what I did was I had some printed out papers, and I didn't have nearly enough to go through the entire show because it's an hour and a half, and I didn't print enough of them. But I did want to talk about how you can alter those printed papers before you even use them. And the first thing I talked about was you can print them in grayscale instead of in color. I had a couple of them there at the beginning, like that one. That's a marbled piece that's actually red and pink, but I printed it in grayscale. Sometimes when you're using papers for collage and things, you need neutrals. And so I started off by talking about neutrals, and you can print them out in grayscale. You could also digitally alter the colors in a program that you alter photos with. So there's fun stuff you can do that way. But then also, of course, before you ever use them as collage material or put them in your art journals or make cards out of them or whatever you're going to do, you could gel print over them. So you could just use them as the colorful base of a gel print. So I have my 5x7 gel plate and my 6x6 gel plate out, and I'm just showing how you could print over the top of them and make them different before you use them. And I've got some different stencils. These are Stencil Girl stencils, and they were the ones I had out. So they were the ones that were on the floor next to me. I wasn't all that prepared this morning. But I used the periodic table stencil that's like a grid to go over that marble, and then I did it in black and white, and then I decided I would put some silver on there, which of course on the video it's a little bit tricky to see that it's silver, but when I bend it back and forth like that, you can see it. Black, white, gray, silver is a great combo to make a paper, and so I thought that would be interesting. Then also I thought maybe putting some colorful colors over the top of one of these monochromatic printed, there we go, grayscale printed papers would be interesting. So I got out some orange, and I was just messing around with that with one of these ATC stencils. These stencils are very grid-like, the ones that I started out with. That's picking up some of the silver that was left on the plate onto some black paper. The papers I used today were regular printer paper, white paper from the printer, and also that same weight, that text weight, black paper. And of course, I printed on some of them with, just with the printers, just regular old paper, right? And this is printed with the inkjet printer because my laser printer this morning decided that it wanted to be cleared out and rebuilt, reinstalled, and I didn't have time before the show, so I just printed them on inkjet. But since I'm putting acrylic paints over the top with the gel plate, they're going to be pretty resistant to water and things, so I'm not too worried about that. This piece was just some interesting printed paper, and I thought it had a lot of rust and gray, and I thought putting some of that Van Dyke brown over the top would be awesome. And this really looks, after I did that, it really looks Southwestern to me. I don't think that diamonds and dots mask is really intended to be Southwestern, but with those colors and that Van Dyke brown over the top, I thought, wow, it really looks like something from Arizona, like maybe a rug or something you would get. I don't know. I've thought about projects I could use that for. Because, I don't usually brown. You do brown, but I wanted some brown. Then there was some leftover on the plate, and I picked it up with some titanium buff, and it just looks cool and grungy because it's not a complete print, and that's also really fun. So I did start out the show, of course, with the printed background papers. And even though I am working on them as I'm putting layers on them, I'm also getting other stuff because maybe I want only the lines of this stencil, so I print on a regular piece of paper to get the paint off before I use the lines, right? Or maybe I want the full thing. Who knows? Who knows? I was talking about a baron there, printing with a baron. That's why my weird hand movements what happened there. But yeah, this Van Dyke brown is a fun neutral. It's like kind of a grayish brown. It looks interesting over the top of this print that has a lot of pastels on it too. And then also the bright one. So I was just trying things out. I was messing around trying things out. Here I had some paint left, so I decided to pick it up with another layer of turquoise paint, which turquoise and brown go together really well, I think. So this one comes out as kind of like another one of those grungy prints, interesting prints. I like that turquoise. I'm really fond of it. So see, it's the leftovers. Of course, I'm living in Arizona and it's very hot and dry. And so, I do get things dried on my plate a lot, and I often will pick them up with a very thin layer of another color of paint or white because there's so much dried stuff left on my plate that has interesting pattern. So I think I'm moving on to something else. I've got some light pink. Yeah, I thought it would be interesting to try to lighten that pastel one back up. This is a really interesting print on its own. It has a crackle background to it. I know it's hard to see on the video, but super interesting print just before you even do anything to it. And then adding a few bits of stuff to the top makes it even more interesting. That one was one of the grayscale printed ones, which by the time I put paint over the top, you can hardly see any of the gray pattern in the background. But yeah, what are you going to do? Sometimes things get covered up. That's just how it is. You never know what's going to happen with gel printing because you think logically you can figure it out. You can predict, but really in reality, it does what it does, and how it comes out isn't always the way you wanted, and maybe it comes out way better than you ever thought. That's usually what happens for me. I love gel printing because of the unpredictability of it. That's why it's called mono printing, because you only get one chance and you only get one of whatever comes out of it. And you just have to be happy with that, and you usually are. So, a lot of fun. I know some of you are new to gel printing, and Peg and I were talking about perhaps doing a multiple um, episode class about like really organizing all the things you can do with gel printing. This may happen maybe later in the year or something. I'll keep you posted on that. But, starting from the very basics and the mistakes people make with gel printing and then moving on to more and more and more techniques and building up so that by the time you finish the class, you're a super pro at gel printing. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested in something like that. This would be a paid class. Probably on Facebook in a live format and then recorded later for people who couldn't attend the live, that type of situation. So we're talking about it. We're planning it. We just have to get all the particulars together. You know how that is. So this is some stencil waste that somebody sent me in Happy Mail. Always fun to receive something in Happy Mail. And I was talking about maybe doing a collage of a bee because today's Earth Day, which I didn't realize, or I might have maybe planned that for today's show. But I think that bees and pollinators are the most important thing to think about when we're worrying about our effect on the environment. Those bees, they're endangered. I mean, we're messing them up with all our pesticides and everything. And if we don't have bees and other pollinators, we're not going to have food because they have to pollinate the food in order for it to grow. So I plan to maybe make an Earth Day themed collage maybe tomorrow. Today I can't do it. I've got to go to some doctor's appointments and things, but Yeah, I should have had that planned for today. I have succumbed to the pressure and fallen off my schedule of making the mixed media collages every day for a 100 days project. I did make it through, what, 78 of them or something, but this last week I just haven't been able to do much of anything. All of my family have received their vaccinations for COVID, and so now we're 2 weeks past and all that. So now we're like trying to catch up on all the postponed dental, doctor and eyeglass appointments. Plus, then there's some other medical stuff happening. So, been doing doctors this week. I just haven't had a chance to make anything and really not the energy or interest in making it. When you decide to do something like, art journaling every day or mixed media collages for 100 days, sometimes the pressure gets to you and you shouldn't feel bad about that. If you can't get it done, you can't get it done, and that's all there is to it. So that's where I've been. So I started thinking about that collage, and I started making some yellow and brown papers that I could use on this bee collage that I'm thinking about making. Hopefully, I do it. Now that I've said it out loud, I feel like I have to. Maybe I shouldn't have said it out loud. The mark making tool that I used on this one was actually some embossed wallpaper. It it acts like a stamp, so it's kind of cool. Then I wanted to try something with this floral mandala stencil from Stencil Girl, designed by Christy Taylor. Uh, I have these out because I was doing a project that's kind of a memorial project. Christy, she passed away from COVID. So over on Stencil Girl Products Club, there is a little thing going on. So I took out stencils that she designed. I will have the numbers of the stencils that I used today below the video. And if you want to help out Christy's family, maybe you love her stencil designs, you could go over to Stencil Girl Products and purchase some of her designs. You can shop by artist. You can like sort by artist, so you could sort and just find her designs and maybe purchase a few of them. Of course, her family will get her commission off of that. So that would be a nice thing to do. I don't know if you want to be that involved in what happens, but people are sad because she was very involved in designing and teaching and helping out at Stencil Girl, and yeah, that's sad. So then the other day I was watching who was it? Marsha Volk, I think, mess around with the gel plate and tape, different types of tape, masking tape and washi tape. So I was messing around with that. I also used a homemade mark making tool that has some lines on it to start out this one, but I'm doing a layering type of gel printing where um, you put one layer, you print it, then you take it off, you put another layer like that. Often my gel printing isn't like that, so this is something a little bit different for me. I usually do all my layering onto the plate and then pick it up all at once with a final layer of thin paint. So this taking it off, putting it back on thing is a little bit different, but it's absolutely the way most people print. It's just I'm a little weird, so um, I do it kind of differently. Plus, I have this situation with having a very dry climate that that creates what I think is a benefit, but for a lot of people, they would be annoyed that the stuff dries so fast. The the plate dries so fast. People usually have more of an open time to work on their layers, and in my case, it's dry. It's no matter how much paint I put on there, it gets dry very quickly. So this one, I had another different homemade styrofoam tool that I was messing with. This the left hand on the left hand side, my 6x6 is drying. I wanted it to get really, really dry for the technique I wanted to try, which I put black paint with a brush through the stencil and took the stencil off, and I'm letting that black line dry and then messing around with my other plate. It's fun to have two plates to work on you know, going back and forth, back and forth. That's the way I like to gel print. And it just happens that today it's smaller pieces, smaller plates. Sometimes I use my 8 by 10 or my 12 by 12. So that thing is, I think, really dry now. I wanted to give it lots of chances to dry. So I left it alone for quite a while. And now I'm just putting some colorful, different acrylic paints, orange, yellow, lavender, light turquoise, those type of colors over that black and picking it all up at once. And what will happen is that black paint that has been dried on the plate will come up and be the first layer over the top of that colored paint that I put on. And you will end up with something really pretty with lines in it. Of course, there's other ways you can get that, but it's fun to do it on the plate sometimes. So here it goes. That's designed by Christy Taylor. That's the floral mandala. You see how you can see the black lines. Remember, they were put on first, but they come off and they're on the top, and that's how you get an interesting effect. So this triangle and dots mask is also designed by Christy Taylor. You can get that one at Stencil Girl too. Sometimes I just like to do white on a black piece of paper. Those neutral pieces with a little bit of texture and pattern on them are really interesting for collage. And I never used to realize that. I used to always make everything super bright, never make any neutrals, and I've seen the error of my ways. So most of the pieces I made were pretty subdued, neutral pieces. So that one came out really pretty. That one has a lot of layers built up on the plate before I picked it up, all of it up with black. So here's a little flip through of what I did today. That blue one was a printed piece of paper from our hashtag AJOS journey. Those last two, this one is, that one I don't think so. This one's a printed paper. I did mess with some other stuff here, which, you know, you're working along, you're doing the stuff as you go. So I hope you've enjoyed this gel printing video. I haven't had one for a while. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notification bells if you haven't already. And of course, you can share this. You can use my links below the video. And all those things help me out. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.